Just a couple of chuff dads having a chat. Please welcome Broden Kelly.
And Stevens lined him up too. Let there be no mistake about that. Stevens went at him at 100 miles an hour. He got another go. And he grabs him. He's grabbed play on behind him.
Welcome back to Further North, everybody. Now, I always start this podcast by saying we got the biggest guest ever. I don't want that to discredit you, Broden, but hey, we do have the biggest guest ever. Broden Kelly with his Demons cap on. Thank you for jumping on the podcast, mate. I'm excited for all your Dees insider knowledge.
I'm very excited. It's it's a battle of the Titans this weekend. Aaron Patterson's just been found guilty on all charges. It's a big week in Melbourne.
Well, is there enough space at the G, mate? You frequent the G more than me. Is there enough seats?
We're gonna struggle. Well, I mean, when we this game took place in what was it, round 2 or 3 this year, and it was at Marvel, and there was still plenty of room. I think there might be a little bit more room. Having said that, I think out of all the games I've been to this year, including Collingwood, including Richmond, including all these others, North that day at Marvel were so loud. And I've been to a few games now where the Roos are faithful. And if you are going to games now, you are truly a faithful.
Only diehards.
They are loud, man. They really go. And they were out last week too. That Thursday night game, I mean, it wasn't just pagans screaming and spitting everywhere. It's it's good. It's that's real fandom, isn't it? When I look, I was at the you go. I was at the Carlton Collingwood game, and I was next to this absolute fucking dead shit. Sorry to swear. Who was telling me how great it is to go for Collingwood, and and how they've got all this culture that the other clubs don't have. And I thought, going for a club like that is supporting football on easy mode in a video game. Like it's doing COD, but you're playing like tourist version where you're just looking at things. Because the truth of being a true football fan is when the great moments come, and they are just around the corner for North, genuinely.
Oh, don't tease me.
It's moments like this year. It's games like this year that you will remember and go, I deserve this as a fan.
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of what the pod's all about. Like, I've said this, and even go back to the greatest, Nick Larkey said, one premiership at North is worth 3 at another club, and it's so true. And you're right, like, the amount of kangas I threw out on Thursday night, mate, was unbelievable. I blew my voice out on the first one.
I won't speak out of turn, but I was very lucky enough to have Mr. Larkey on my show earlier this year. And he is genuinely my favourite full forward in the league. That like the first quarter, personifies why he is just so fantastic. He is maybe the most shin boner at the moment in that team, just about.
Absolutely. Loves a scrap too.
After the podcast finished, I said to him, I was desperate for you to come to the D's. All we need is a forward. And he, without saying what he said, just the man is loyal to you guys. He loves that club so much. He is your Bont. He is your he's your Max Gorn. He's a superstar.
Yeah, no, we love that guy, and I've been a massive advocate for him to be the captain as well. I love Jai, so I'm not asking him to go at all,
sure.
But the way he spoke at the Best and Fairest night a couple of years ago, where I was just like, yeah, this guy genuinely loves the place. So, I mean, nearly every guest we've had on this show has come on and said, I thought we could have got Nick Larkey a couple of years ago before he signed. And, I mean, look, the Demons have a little trend taking some North forwards, so we can chat about that a little bit later, but we'll dive deep into the archives.
What did he say at this? Best and Fairest?
It wasn't exactly what he said. It was the way he was talking about it. Like he was talking about a lot of the cliche things that we do hear, but it was the way it's presented. Like we know when people talk in the media a lot of the time, they're talking very, very cliche stuff, but you could tell that he cared. It was talking about the values of the club, and as individual fans, we know what they are. We talk about shinboner spirit, and other people laugh at that sort of stuff. I'm like, you know what? That's our thing, and that's not for you guys. I'm happy to get shinboned all the time if we have to. So, like, it's just the way he spoke, and it just felt like the captain's speech. It felt like he was talking to the fans directly, saying, "We've got this. Trust in this process because we are making changes." And I guess it can sort of lead on to maybe a question I'll ask you is how much North have you watched and what have you seen? Because I want to sort of chat to you about maybe your time as a Demons fan through those very, very rough years, because it's very similar to what we're going through right now. Even getting a Paul Roos compared to a Clarkson, maybe who was that player for you back then that gave you that?
It immediately came to mind is Nathan Jones Chunk.
Yeah.
So he was drafted under Neil Danaher in about 2007 or 2008. And he's pretty much like shaved head then when he was 18.
Yeah.
And he was seat 1A for 10 years of just as bad as it gets misery. And he just sat through it and retired the year we won the flag and didn't play in it, went home to see the birth of his twins. And I just think like a player like that, sure, a flag means a lot, but also like being the face of a contingent of people who live and breathe this organization when no one else backs them, when you spend it like that's worth, surely that's worth, that transcends any sort of winning of a game. Also the fact that you're in a team with a bunch of salary caps, so you're getting paid handsomely above what you would be getting paid somewhere else. Like, I think it's worth so much more. But yeah, man, I saw, and I watch a lot of North, and I've watched from afar and seen moments where, you know, it feels like, you know, it's the saddest it can ever be, but it does get better. But also like the things I learned from it, of watching Melbourne for a decade is stuff that I've genuinely taken into my career. Like the things, how to react when things feel hopeless, when things are as sad as they can get. How do you behave in those moments? What to do, but moreover, what to not do. And there's about 4 or 5 things that Melbourne did that I'm like, don't do them. But
do those.
Yeah, and I'm like,
don't not draft Dusty.
I think North and the D's and maybe the Suns. I'm trying to think of a few others, but I think we might be part of a group of teams where not only do we have the bottom out, but then you follow up the bottom out with another bottom out. Like where there's been a few periods where it's like at the worst possible time, you've lost a coach or a thing's gone bad. That means that you like, because I think people compare Hawthorn and North at the moment, or Hawthorn and or North and Richmond, or, you know, these other bottoming out teams. But you're in a completely different ecosystem to them, because in those teams, you know, Richmond has got something like 6 or 7 premiership players, you know, helping Lawler get better or helping their younger players get better. Whereas until this year, and like, it's really just been these young guys forging a path without any support. And that's completely different. And
as North fans, we always go back to this one. I know I do. We had, what was it, 2015-16 draft year. And I remember Cam Joyce, our list boss at the time, whatever the job role title is. And he goes, we've just drafted the spine of our future. And those players were Ed Vickers-Willis, who actually got a Rising Star nomination, but he did his knee twice and never played again. Sam Durden, who somehow forged a career at Carlton for 10 years. I've got no clue. And I think it was either Dan Curry or Dan Nielsen. There was a Dan in there, and none of them did anything. And I look at it, and they're all 31, 32 now. And if they could have drafted even one of them, it could have been, they're your veterans right now, like the Tigers have, like you pointed out, in their backline. And instead of that, we've had 22-year-old Nick Larkey and 24-year-old Jai Simpkin and this sort of stuff going, well, we're the leaders, and I haven't learnt anything from anybody because we have no players. And then you're right, like, it's the turnover, and then it's the don't do these sort of things. Like 3 years in a row we had, you know, Horn Francis goes, and then Taron, rightly so, but Taron was such a talented player. That didn't work out. And then Clarko comes in, he goes for the first year, and we're just sitting there going, what are we doing? Are we cursed? And I do feel a little bit this year that we're turning, and I'm the sort of guy that's like 2 to 3 years away, and that's when I think we're talking about.
So in the redevelopment, I'm going to say some names here, and they will spark chords with North fans, but you are currently in the Jordan Lewis, Bernie Vince era of Melbourne. And
Luke Hodge, Brisbane.
Yeah, you're in that era where all of a sudden you're getting a few of these experience, and you're starting to see, not every week, you're starting to see these, I'm not going to say green shoots. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to say something else. I'm going to say
what's something else that grows?
Yeah, these inspiring moments where you go, that's what it's going to look like in 2 years' time. But then also that's followed up with, so you get a little bit of hope, and then there's the Launceston game. and then
Well,
like,
the fan base reaction, I've said this a lot on the pod, so sorry if I'm beating a dead horse here to all of the listeners, but I said after that game, I was a bit disappointed with the fan reaction to that because the whole fan base freaked out. And I was getting messages, we haven't improved at all this year. The whole last 2 months of good form means nothing. I'm thinking that game is the outlier now. We used to play one good game and be like, oh, we can do it. And now it's like, wow, we played one bad game and we can't throw our toys out of the pram. We're North fan. We're more loyal. We aren't those cookie cutter Collingwood fans and that sort of stuff. We are all diehards here and we can't lose our minds over one bad loss. And I reckon, what was it? The Sydney loss and then the Hawthorn loss and the Carlton loss on Good Friday. And they're the only three that I really believe are bad. Other than that, it's been good enough and a lot more improved than what we were last year. And we've won more games and we nearly beat Brisbane. So, hey, lids off.
So when I say the lesson of watching the D's for a decade is stability and structure and just doing the same. Just don't be reactive. Like just keep moving the right direction. There's so many Facebook memes that boomers share of like of inspiring quotes around this, like the guy who's mining down a tunnel, and he walks away and just, it really is that. And it does turn at some point. But even like for the D's in 2021, like the year before I was pissed off at them because the better you get, the higher your potential you see.
Because you made the finals and then died a bit, didn't you? Then came back up?
Yeah, so 2018 we were in a prelim that we didn't do, that we won't talk about that. And then but we beat Geelong and Hawthorn in the finals in 2018. Yeah. So good. And then the next year, 2019, we bottomed out and didn't play finals. But we drafted Cozzy Pickett and Luke Jackson.
Okay.
And then in 2020, we finished 9th. And I remember the team being really, really good, but them just doing these weird flaky things. And then the next year we weren't in the finals and then we won the thing. It does come, and it's like there's two kinds of teams in the league. It feels like there's the infrastructure powerhouses who are, paying multiple salary caps and can always just stay up there and be around it. And then there's the other real teams who are having genuine craps, who get up. It takes a lot to just get up there, have a crack, and drop out again. And it's coming. It's coming for North. I think. Do you feel like you lack for anything at the moment as far as your list goes?
The number one thing I'm worried about is just another key position player next to Larky in the forward line. I think.
No, don't worry about it. You've got him.
Who?
100%. Finbar Maley is the truth.
All right, you got to sell me on Finbar a little bit here because I do a pod. We did a pod with Joel, and he's a big Finbar guy, right?
Okay,
and he absolutely loves him, and he's got Cold Hero all over him, big mustache, talks about Minecraft on podcasts, all that sort of stuff.
He came to my solo show, so he's completely unhinged.
Well, clearly that's worrying, but he clunks everything. And it's not, and his kicking isn't as bad as we all make it out to be, but it's the run up that scares me. And I just wonder how likely is it to find a guy as a rookie selection or an undrafted rookie selection that does make it like that when we've got a guy in Matt Whitlock on our list that I think should be given that chance in the forward line. He's playing backline in our VFL. And then you've just seen what Will Dawson did with Darcy on the weekend, just gone. And I'm like, well, there's your guy. You've got Combin, and you probably don't want to go in with 3 200-centimetre players down back. Whitlock's played forward. He's been a swingman his whole juniors. Play this guy on the forward line. I think he could be that contested marking, leaping sort of guy, and then Larky could be your lead-up sort of player. But I don't know. I'm not out on Finbar at all. I'm not completely sold.
That's interesting. It's funny. Like does North have a role which you always need? Because, for example, because at Melbourne, since David Neitz retired, we've never had a full forward prop, like a great full forward. There's been moments. We had young Jesse Hogan who promised.
True.
And then that 2021, do you know the genuine difference for that year is because we got the last the last juice that Big Ben
Big
Brown
Brown.
and that was it. And if Melbourne, we can't kick straight this year. If we had one normal, not a larky, just a normal marking full forward, like it's the utopia image. It's just everything changes for us. But do you have a play like that at North?
The only other thing I can think of, because I think we've got everyone else on the list, they just need experience, would be that Cozzy Pickett-esque small forward. That's probably the only one that I don't think we've got on the list. There's a guy, Zach Banch, who's kicking goals every week, who we got in the mid-season, who we're very excited about. He's kicked 6, 8 goals in 3-4 games or something, and it's looking okay. But, I do get a little bit worried that these guys maybe have a slightly lower ceiling. I hope they can bust through it, don't get me wrong. And you've seen it at other clubs, but...
Who's North's best small forward ever?
Ever? Oh, geez.
In our life. When I say ever, I'm talking, colour TV.
Colour TV. Your Byron Pickett, Winston Abraham, Lindsay Thomas.
Lindsay, yes.
Lindsay. That's probably about it. Traditionally we haven't had heaps of crazy ones. I can go super rogue and say like Matt Campbell and Eddie Sainsbury. Cracker Brothers originally, but that was well before my time.
It's funny. Like when I think, because I don't even think of Byron Pickett as a forward either. I just think as a big,
just ran around and bashed people. To be honest,
I met him the other week, and he's I just pictured this, the man who flew into people, but he's smaller than me, but this immense core power inside of him, just horrible. Who's going to be the North player who wins your Norm Smith?
Colby McKercher.
All right.
Colby McKercher.
That's dead on him already.
I'm a Launceston boy from Tassie as well. And born down there, and I lived there for 20 years and then moved up here. So it's I love Colby McKercher. He's got class all over him. The game-breaking ability, decision-making. He has a couple of kicks where they get chopped off, but you can see what he's trying to do. And once they come off, he's got the highest ceiling at the club for me personally. Do you agree, or do you have another player in mind?
Well, I'm just trying to think if the profile of a Norm Smith medalist is someone who all year you're like, they were okay today, but then they have that one
bit
game
underdog about it. Well, Zerha, when you said that, Cam Zerha comes straight to mind, where he's not going to have anyone on anyone's radar, where he's one of the best medium forwards in the game, but he's having an incredibly underrated year. He's up there with Curtis and Larky with the goals. And on his day, I remember the Demons game last year when we lost by 3 points, I think, at the G, and Zerha kicked 4 that day or something like that, and nearly got us over the line in the last quarter. He's that sort of player for me that if he's on, I don't think you can stop him, but if he's off, he might be a bit anonymous.
Hell yeah, I think that's the key, because Petrarca has days where, he misses 8 in front of goal, but on that day, or Bobby Hill even, that's interesting. That's going to be exciting. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, look, you're welcome down to Bay 29 for some Kangas, mate. All I need from you before we win a premiership is one Kanga in the Bay.
I can do that. I'm happy to do that. I was in the fucking Adelaide Crows rooms last night after a Melbourne win. I'm here for the experience.
You can be bought. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I can be bought. Yeah.
Okay. We'll work on a bribe. I think I don't know if you've heard of North Melbourne close to a flag before, but we're scheming up an idea of a Toby Pink tribute day. And
nice.
and we have this bay at Marvel that we can get tickets to. So look, you'll be the first message I send when the Toby Pink tribute day is on, and we'll get you down in a well, I don't know how much hair you can still grow, but a red wig and decked out in pink.
Yeah, I reckon I could do some sort of Toby Pink's setup. I'm also keen for I went in the last 12 months. I've been to a few North games, but mainly my favourite North moments have been W games, particularly last
I loved them.
Down at Icon Park. Once again, the Ferals were there, the same ones from Marvel round 2 whenever we played. They were out and about in that final series, and particularly that grand final was so good.
How good. I went to nearly all the W games. I even trekked out to Windy Hill. I live in Bayswater out in the east, and we trekked out there to that absolute dump they've got out there, and we watched the girls destroy the Bombers out there. I don't know how many players you know, but Vicky Wall is my favourite player ever. She just flattens everybody that goes. She plays rugby sevens for Ireland apparently as well. She just kills people.
I've said this story a couple of times, but at the game that Brisbane was supposed to win that game because Brisbane win grand finals in the W. They are just. They are the Death Star. And Carney got knocked down off ball, but got it out. Someone else ran in and kicked a goal, and Seven's coverage didn't pick it up at all. But she turned around to whoever knocked it down and just gave him the two like bird. And I went, I got that. And it was so because think of Emma Carney as this like seasoned, level-headed player. And she's just so aggressive.
It's fantastic. It's great. We've had a few of the W girls on the pod as well, and they're awesome, and they've got so many cool stories as well. I wasn't expecting how much I would get around it as well. I started sort of covering it last year, and I said to everyone on the pod, like, I got to get into it organically. I can't force myself to do it because if I'm pretending I love it, it doesn't help anything. Yeah. And I started going to a couple of games, and I said I'm genuinely having a great time with the smaller grounds, closer access to the players, and it's just got a real local feel about it, and it's a lot better. And there is a gulf in the W, right, where there's like the top 6 teams are very, very good, and there's probably too many teams for the talent that's available. And once the talent gets there, you'll get a much more competitive league. But it was genuine. North played really, really good football. The scores were high, and we ended up going nearly every week, man. It was unreal.
I love that. I love the grand finals, one of my favourites. But then also my other North connection that I need to mention is I play in a basketball team now with Big Ben Brown.
Fantastic.
With the Browns, actually.
Another Tassie boy, mate. God.
Yeah, so all these people raised by Bread and Butter Bakery, you know what I mean?
We're cut from the same cloth, us, Tassie. Look, Colby signed through the week, and I said, Launceston boys, we're loyal. We don't want to hear the outside noise. I'm not hearing it. And Ben Brown is the same.
There's a DNA inside me that I've every time I go to Launceston, it makes me feel deeply uncomfortable. And it is that whenever I'm there, I feel like I'm home and I deserve to be here because I spent a lot of time. My Aunty Donna, the group I'm in, we all met in a place called Ballarat.
Yeah,
and Ballarat has great wealth and beautiful architecture and beautiful streets. This feeling of like generational beauty next to some of the most despairing bogan bush. And whenever you get to Launceston, you're like, I'm home.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do love Lonnie. But yeah, Ben Brown in a basketball team is the funniest thing in the world, man.
Look, if you need a stretch 4, you just let me know, okay? Because I tore up the Launceston Social League down there.
Okay, good.
I hit 5 from 7 from 3 filling in for a team once. I've never done that in my life because I was too streaky.
How long did you think about that? Did you go to sleep thinking about that for like weeks later?
Well, years later, because this is about 10 years ago, and I still bring it up because it's one of my claims. There's two claims to fame in my sporting life. Hitting 5 from 7 from deep, which I've never done for my own team in Launceston, but I filled in one night and they asked to recruit me, and I walked away and said, sorry, boys, got a bit on. And then I kicked the winning point, and I kicked 5-3 in the only game we won for the year for the Tamar Cats down in Tasmania. Didn't get a single vote for that game, and our coach called it out in the thing and goes, Josh won us the game, 5 goals, 3, won our only game for the year, didn't get a single BNF vote from the umpires. I think it's the biggest Tasmanian sporting travesty in history.
That's great, though. That's your 2 moments, and you'll have them forever. That's fantastic.
I have to get them out there. I know what you mean about Launceston too, because I bounced around a lot in Victoria, right? And I was living in Oakley before I moved out to Bayswater. And people were like, Ringwood and Mitchell, got to be careful out there, mate. I'm thinking, okay, let's have a look. And I went out there and I said, this is just Launceston, but a little bit nicer. And the thing I love about this side of the city is it is more bogan because this is where I fit in. I saw Commodores on the lawns. I saw fences that were half fallen down. And I saw trees, actual real trees. And it made me feel at home. And that's why I ended up buying a place. I'm like, I got it.
You're not far from a Banjo's, I don't think, either.
Don't even get me started on Banjo's Bake. The best sausage roll you ever had. This is obviously like a Tassie staple. And then I found it's in Mornington and there's one in Traralgon as well. But I didn't know if they're... it's the best bakery. I don't know. The sausage roll meat is kind of orange, and it's like kebab chips. The more they glow nuclear yellow, the more they're going to be delicious. And that's like the sausage rolls.
I was in Tassie for like 2 days and I went to Banjo's twice. One at Campbelltown, which is obviously in between.
On the trek down to Hobart.
Yeah. And then on the next morning I stopped by another one and someone said, you got to try the egg and bacon pie for breakfast while they're still there, they said.
True.
And so I had one and it was just like egg and bacon. and I was like, this is too much egg. But apart from that, it was
That's too much.
oh yeah, I love banjos.
It's the Hearts drinks as well. I don't the brand Hearts, which is a Tasmanian for like a soda, and they do like a lime one, and there's like a clear lemonade one, and there's like a yellowy sort of like, lemony lemonade sort of color. Get the clear lemonade Hearts when you go down there next. I don't know what the difference is between that and Sprite and normal lemonade. There's something in it, but it's unbelievable.
Why did North have so many fans or contingents of fans outside of Melbourne? Is it because before the AFL was the AFL, North were very good in the 70s? Is that what it is? Like, well, this Perth thing is the cleverest thing. The Bunbury thing is so smart and is great.
Yeah.
So I've started calling you the third Perth team.
Well, we've got a joke here where Alistair Clarkson is the mayor of WA. That usually goes around our circles a lot because our record over there is really, really good. But no, you're right. Like we've got 10,000 members in Western Australia, and I'm like, I don't really know why. And apparently Ross Glendenning back in the day before the AFL got a lot of fans. As for Tassie, I'm not too sure because growing up in Launceston, it's all Hawthorn there, right? And the annual game I used to go to was North Hawks. The only reason I follow North Melbourne is because I found a football card on the ground at school and it was John Blakey. And I took it home and I said to Dad, what is that? And he goes, it's a football card. And that weekend they were playing Geelong on TV in about 2005-ish because I found football a little bit later because my parents are from New South Wales. Right. And they smashed Geelong. It's probably the last time we beat Geelong, to be fair. Yeah. Except in the elimination final in 2015. Thank you, Todd Goldstein, for that. But and I was just in ever since. And then I had heaps of mates down there that were North as well because their parents, and I don't really know, but they every single year they played Hawthorn in Tassie, so it was almost like the next Tassie team. And then we signed the deal to go down there 12 years ago, and I guess that got more people on board. But the Tassie people are so desperate for football down there, and because that was the only game, there was 4 games a year they could go to back in the 2000s and everything. I guess they just jumped on those teams.
Regardless of whether this stadium happens or it goes the exact way that the AFL wants it to, when that team starts down there, it's gonna go feral.
They think the Adelaide Oval's feral. You wait till you get it's like getting everyone from Adelaide and putting them on a remote island and then getting people to go across a body of water to see that, because it will be the most feral. It should be called the Feral Dome, mate. Some awful stuff will go on in there.
It'll sell out every week.
Yep.
Like, imagine being the Dees in July, minus 10 degrees, going down there to play a football game against this team. It will be
the worst road trip in footy.
It'll be a mix of Collingwood and Geelong, I reckon, because like when you go down, no one wants to go down to Geelong.
No.
And then also the fan base are going to be feral. It's going to be
rabid.
Sick, man.
Yep.
Like, people say, why would you want to play down there? I think it's going to be a fortress.
And the area around there is beautiful as well. Like, imagine all the players living up in Sandy Bay on the hill, Hobart. And the only people who say, oh, Tassie's cold, I wouldn't go down there, are people who have never been down there. Like, Tassie is nowhere near, one, not as cold as people think. It's cold, but it's not as cold as people think. And 2, you get beautiful homes for like half the price. You get them up here, and you'll just you'll never buy a beer again for the rest of your life. Why wouldn't you want to go? I don't know if a lot of the younger guys will go back down. Like, there's a lot of chat about Colby before he signed, obviously going back down there. And the only insight I can ever give, not that I obviously played at that level, but for Tasmanians is my mate Jesse Lonergan made the AFL, went to the Gold Coast Suns in 2010 or 11 or something like that. Jesse Lonergan was one of the earlier picks, or maybe it was a little bit after that. But anyway. And and I went to school with the College Asneys and things like that, and they knew, Tasmanian kids know, if you're going to play AFL, you have to move. That's in your brain from day one, basically. And now Jesse moved. He lives up there. He's got kids and a partner, and that's his life now. And, I don't think the draw of going back to Tasmania for a 21-year-old Colby McKercher is going to be there when you get 4 months off a year. It's an hour flight. I really don't think we'll see that influx. I know money is available, but the salary cap's going up everywhere, So I really believe the Tassie players won't. Some older ones I could see, like your Alex Pearces potentially and that sort of stuff. But your younger guys, I don't know. I don't see why they would.
That's why I feel like this team will be so profound, because I think it's going to change the mind state of the entire island. In that, like, when I talk about this stadium on our show, the 2 bits of feedback I get is you don't understand, or people don't understand politics down here, which I fully concede. But the other thing I hear is from people who've moved away is this is why I had to move away, is that mentality of it's hard to get anything started up because the community is so much smaller and it feels like everyone in Melbourne, if there's a highway being built, no one goes, we're going to talk about this. Everyone goes, oh, okay, I guess
It's
we're
just a
getting
highway.
it. Whether it's right or wrong, we're getting it.
Yeah.
But down there, everyone, for right or wrong, has a feeling of an entitlement to say, I think this.
Yeah.
And I think, from people who reach out to me, this is why I moved away, is because I wanted to build this thing here and it wasn't going to happen here or this and that. But the idea that an AFL team's going to be there and then people are going to, I can stay here, and that becomes a mentally, like the amount of football. Like I was speaking to a teacher who's from Lonnie saying that young kids don't talk about basketball's the sport, and it's entirely because of the jack jumpers.
For sure.
But just once football is the thing there, and that becomes that you can stay here and live your life here. I think it not only affect football, but like so many other things.
Tassie needs it, mate. Like, we had so many talented players through the schools and the areas down there who I never had a single football player come to my school and tell me you could do it or anybody down there. And I think that's the stuff that, it is an island. It is a community of people. And to be honest, I'm sports mad. F1 and the basketball and the NBA, everything, right? Yep. If there was a Tasmanian team down there that I followed, I don't think I would have moved. I think I would have stayed down there.
That's huge
because it's community, and if all my mates did it and we were going, that's the stuff that means it's one of the things in my life that I love doing. Like since doing the pod, I've made a lot of friends who follow North, and we go to games together, and I finally got that. And I think if Tasmania, once Tasmania gets that, we hope. I don't think people are going to be bailing anywhere near as much because they've got that routine. They've got that routine of their work life. They've got that routine of their social life, and the football gives you I've got friends that I only talk sport to. Other than that, I don't know what their kids' names are. I don't know who they're dating. I just know which football team they support, and that's the sort of stuff that people get around. So I don't know if I would have moved, and if I'm feeling that way, there's thousands of others.
And you'll be that's the thing is, having talked about footy more in the last few years than I ever have. It's so possible to have a team your 1A and a team that's your 1B.
I'll have a massive soft spot for him, mate. I will. I always love North, and North's my number one. I've supported my whole life, but I'll have a massive soft spot.
But then, I love watching the Suns and I love watching the Giants now as well. Like, and it's almost like, obviously I fucking go for the D's, but like, there's nothing wrong with also chucking on Suns and knowing all the players and wanting to see them rise and stuff like that. I don't mind it. But yeah, also happy to see North rise, and it's happening, mate.
Well, look, you've got a ticket to the North train, mate. If you want, you just let me know. But you got to get in before next season. That's the line I'm giving everyone. If you want to jump on, you got to do it. You can't do it when we start getting good. No bandwagoners around here. I can't wait till the day that North's really good and someone goes, "Oh, of course you follow North. Everyone does." And the twitch in my eye will show I've got receipts.
Can you imagine?
Well, but imagine the Tigers fans after they blew up and got 100,000 members, and they'd sat through just the worst 30 years they could ever possibly sit through.
And where are they now?
Well, there you go, the rise and the fall.
And I feel like this game on Sunday at 1:10 is the spiritual home for both of us, where we belong. 1:10 on a Sunday.
That is Launceston personified in a stadium. That will be, which is going to feel like home for both of us.
It feels like misery. Like it's the same place that there was a few days ago 80,000 people for a Carlton Collingwood game. There's going to be hopefully 30,000.
I was going to say about 30. I reckon that was about what it was last time. I think North are a little bit more up and about. Well, give me your thoughts on the D's. Let's talk a little bit of D's then. Like with this season, what was your expectation going into the season, and sort of where are they at for you, and what's happening down there?
Oh, I'm miserable. I genuinely thought we'd get back into the 8. I thought there was going to be some fixes, and like it's just, it may be a cop out to say, but we can't kick straight in front of goal, and it's, I think, cost us 5 to 6 games this year.
Yeah, wow.
And that's not an exaggeration. Like,
I did see that in the game on Sunday as well.
We are the worst goal kicking team in the league, despite the fact we don't have a full forward. We do get good shots in front and we miss them. But it all comes down to, like, it's talking about what I was talking about with a forward before. Like, since Goodwin's been there, I feel like we've had the same issues. We're slow to adapt. We're slow to change. You saw it in the game earlier this year where you had a play for us. You played it really well, and we did nothing about it and just sticked it out. So I'm really frustrated about it. But what I am excited about is coming back to the stability shit. So I know that we got a new CEO, new president, and all these things happening behind the scenes, which is the thing that excites me the most. Some of the stuff that was happening last year as far behind the scenes just frustrates me to no end. I just want to see. I'm in a point now where I just love watching Max Gawn play. I think he is the best player I've ever seen play for the D's, easily. I love the way he goes about it. I love when I'm at a game at Adelaide Oval and I hear the other fans going, "Oh, no, don't kick it to him." Like, that's sick. Like, just someone who's just such a generational player for you. Who, apart from North fans, is loved by everyone else. If Cherry wasn't his,
his father.
Okay.
Just the last two games.
Yeah, there's a few Blazers, but yeah, we'll get. You might get there.
Yeah, it is what it is.
But I love watching him play, and I'm very excited by the young guys who we have drafted, because I think there's for the first time in me watching them as in the last 20 years or so, there's a chance to be able to kind of rebound in a Hawthorn-esque or a Geelong-esque way.
Rebuild or like retool along the way a little. That's one thing I think the D's have done really well as well, is slowly and sneakily they're playing these young guys while they're a little bit down. You're not bottoming them out like we have or West Coast or Richmond have, but, you know, maybe a little bit of a retool. I guess it depends. You know, does Petrarca get back to where he was? Cause he signed, obviously, but can he really invest and be 100% for the D's? And can you find a forward? But the group of young talent that they do have, I think is not talked about enough. And definitely they're doing it in a very sneaky way. They're doing it well.
I could be happy to see Goodwin go. I'd be happy to see any of our CEOs, presidents, whatever go. Our best team, and the only reason we're where we are is our recruiting and our list management. We have two guys in control there who are properly great. They have missed in the last 10 years maybe twice, we just keep hitting in recruiting and everything. So like, I just want to empower them to keep doing their thing. How is your recruitment team now? I mean, it's hard to know when you have the top 5 picks so often, but like,
It's a difficult one. I think we've hit on a lot, but they're almost the ones you should hit on. So it's hard to know exactly where to put it, because I look at a pick like a Zane Dersma, who at the moment isn't looking fantastic, and there's a lot of chat about him potentially going and it being mutual as well. For years, North fans have been at the draft, and we continuously draft midfielders and half forwards. And we don't have that in, like we sort of chatted about before, unless Finbar turns into the greatest player I've ever seen. I don't think we necessarily have that key position player and most likely forward on our list. And then you look at overlooking a Dan Curtin, Caddy, a Nick Watson, those sort of players, and then getting fair enough. Like Will Phillips is a hard one when Logan McDonald was there, even though Logan McDonald isn't necessarily the best forward you've ever seen, but I think we need to start drafting on a lot positional instead of drafting on most talented. And I would hope that I wanted to stop that last year, and we took Finn O'Sullivan, and he's been really solid for us. He's been really good and looks like he's going to be a great AFL player. But I think we needed to narrow down a little bit more what we need, because Brady Rawlings handles most of that sort of stuff. He's got a team behind him, but he's the guy, right? So they said a few years ago, we're going to build from the midfield out. That was what was relayed to the fans. And that always struck me really, like, that doesn't really make sense to me, because your midfielders can come on in a year or two if they're talented enough. But your key position players, it's usually 2 to 3, if not 5 years before they really hit their mark. So are we going to run into this thing where all your midfielders are in their primes, like Tom Powers and LDUs and Simpkins and all that sort of stuff, and they're there. Wardlaw, there's another one to throw in there, Sheasel. And then we still haven't really got those key position players. And once we do, they need more time. And the midfielders are sitting there going, well, we're ready to go, and that's something that I'm really, really worried about with key position stuff. So, they've hit on the ones they should hit on. Historically, we've got some good ones. I mean, Sherry was a very, very low pick. Larky picked 73. Zoho was a rookie selection, I think. So there are really good ones in there. But I worry we go after talent more than fit, and I don't know if I agree with that for how much talent I think we've already got.
So frustrating. It's like a chicken or an egg thing, isn't it? Where like, I know we had gone, but we drafted Luke Jackson.
Mm.
And that turned out to be the right thing to do because he went home. We won a flag with us, and then he went home, and we got for him 2 first rounders, which turned out to be 2 guns.
Yeah.
As long as you're doing that, like talent, you can't replace talent.
I mean, Parker, Darling, Daniel have been. I mean, different fans have different opinions, but I've loved all of this. Parker's been incredible. Darling plays his role every single week, and I don't think it's any coincidence that Zerha and Curtis and those guys have really stepped up and been unbelievable with him up there. And even when he's been out, his contested work has improved massively, and his game smarts. Like when we beat Carlton, he was pushing up the ground to create a contest and left Curtis and Zerha in that 50 completely isolated. And I really backed those two one-on-one. And I thought that was really, really smart, and we haven't seen that sort of before. So, I think that recruitment has been great. You can look at other ones like Aaron Hall coming in, or even Jaden Stevenson. But, I don't think they were dumb moves at the time. I guess they just didn't really work out, but
different circumstances entirely for both.
And a different time at the club too, when we thought we were going to hopefully jump up, and we weren't even as low as we were meant to be yet.
Yeah, sometimes it can happen. It's definitely happened with the D's where someone's saying they're willing to play for you. You're like, well, that's enough. That's all we need is you to say that you're happy to come here.
It feels like that a bit for us sometimes.
Yeah, like, you want to be here? Sick. Like, come. Like, and that, I think Melbourne, we've never really recruited. Like, we're in that same position where we're in the position you've got to find talent that you develop as opposed to being a home for them, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, that's how when you get into like free agency and draft stuff, like so many father sons and academies going to top 8 teams, and then we're sort of the smaller club sort of gets told, "Oh, just pick the next guy." And when that happens 12 times in the first round, you're like, well, it's like when we got that compensation package or the assistance package from the league, and we got like this first round pick, and then actually was a second round, like a late second round pick, because there was 12 father sons and academies. And then, you just don't want to be that feeder club for bigger clubs, right? Because, North goes in with the best offer for Dan Houston, and then he still comes over to Collingwood, and Port Adelaide have to accept a lesser offer because the player wants to go there. And it just makes it hard for those smaller clubs. Like you're right. We have to draft well, develop them well, and then pray to God that we keep them, and then hope that they fulfill their potential once they've got the big deal.
That's the whole model, and what we get criticised for now is why Petrarca and Oliver are on why we've given Cozzy such long contracts is because
got to keep him
in the ecosystem of the AFL. We must. That's our only powering position. If you looked at where Petrarca and Oliver were in the last 2 years, had they not been on long contracts, we would have just lost them. Whereas at least there's a bargaining power or the chance to try it again with them, which other clubs just don't have. Collingwood but it goes the other way too. Everyone wants. Sorry, my dog is barking.
He's passionate about the conversation.
Yeah, he knows about he thinks it's an imperfect league, but that idea, like Carlton, right? Everyone wants to go to Carlton, and they've got that many, career opportunities if you stay, kind of things. But I think that harms them because they've never had a player who was like a 5 out of 10, and they've just had to make it work with him. So they get rid of the right player. They'll go and get Nick Haynes, who I think's a gun defender from Giants, because he wants to come and play for them. But then it doesn't work out for them because the synergy's not there. You can't just keep piling in good players.
Yeah. You've got to, and that's what I like about the core we're building with, Simkin, Larkey, LDU, Zerha. Like those ones especially have been there for 6-7 years now and all done it together and all re-signed. And that's the sort of stuff that hopefully one day when we're in the finals, you're going to see that synergy. And then this young crop is also, you can have 2 age groups which have come up together, and hopefully they can all be mates and, share TikToks and also talk about DVDs together, and they can all just get along, So we'll see how that goes.
The other thought I had from the Lonnie game is how small Clarkson is. Like, he's a little man.
Like a Byron Pickett, though, you wouldn't want to run into him.
No, I had no interest in going near him. But he's a little man.
He is a little man, but they're the angriest men, and that's and they're also the scariest. To be fair, most incredibly tall people I've met are very placid and very non-threatening, unless I'm sure they could tear me limb from limb if they had to. But hey, I'm hopefully never going to find that out.
There are so many parallels from North and Melbourne and the Rises. Really, like Clarkson is your Paul Roos to us, where you just have this guy who comes in and says, "Calm down, it's all good. We're moving in the right," and can just sort of convince people to come or do the right thing. And was shooting a TV show once, and we had a very famous actor on, and he came into set, and as soon as he was on set, everyone started to just be 10% more engaged. Like the camera crew, the costume, everyone started to be a bit more engaged.
This is real now.
And sometimes, like that, it starts to, it's all compounding, and I'm sure it's clearly happening at North in the right way.
Well, look, all that being said, the game on the weekend.
But also, would you give Richmond this pick for?
Oh, okay. Well, here's a point. I'm going to throw this at you, right? I'm a barber, right? And I talk a lot of football, and I'll tell you how I think North Melbourne may have actually fleeced this draft and done the right thing, right?
Great.
So this draft is the most compromised and most shallow draft we've arguably ever seen. There's at least 4, maybe if not 5, father, sons, and academies all in the top 10. So if Oscar Allen leaves, West Coast get pick 1 and 2 because of how that rule works. Richmond's first pick drops down to 3, and then our pick, depending on where we finish, because we're 2 points behind the D. I think we go ahead of the Ds if we beat them this weekend, and we can go ahead of the Saints. So, and look, I'm still expecting to be bottom 4. I'm not that sort of guy, but there's a chance our pick ends up potentially being pick 6 or like 5, let's say, to be kind, and then it drops down more because of those father sons. So you could potentially look at pick 8 or 9 or something like that. So the other way to do this,
it's a shallow draft as well.
It's a very shallow draft. Then you look at it from the North Melbourne side on the night, where why did the first round go to pick 29? Because there was 11 father, sons, and academies in the first round because there's only 18 teams. Whitlock on our board was pick 12 to 15 on our draft board. We got him without the compromisation. We got him at pick 16. So we have potentially traded maybe a pick 8 or 9 for a pick 15 or 16, and then their second rounder, which without the compromisation is pick 20. So it doesn't sound, and we've got pick 21 then without that compromisation. And we could absolutely trade 20 and 21 into this draft to a team with a father, son, or an academy and move up into that. And I think I think we've done it really, really smart because we don't need another top 5 midfielder. We need key positions, and you get them around the teams, you can find them. And I genuinely think we might have done a really smart trade that it all depends how you say it. Like, did North get the number 1 pick when we got Horn Francis? No, because Dacos was there. And yes, he went after, but just because you're the number 1 pick doesn't mean you're the number 1 player. And I think that's the stuff we mix up. It's like, and the last example I use before I let you go is David King on draft night as well. Not draft, it was free agency, sorry. We traded pick 25 for Caleb Daniel, and everyone on the media said, pick 25 for Caleb Daniel. What's this? Well, Caleb Daniel's 28, so he's in his prime. He's played in the premiership. He's been an All-Australian, and to each individual club, there's a different spectrum of what's worth what. There's not one thing of what things are worth. Pick 25 is nowhere near as valuable to North Melbourne as Caleb Daniel is. We don't need another pick 25, 18-year-old who's not going to play for 3 years. But to a Collingwood or something, that's how it is. So I think all this draft stuff is very relative. But let me know your thoughts on my little draft spiel there.
It makes me feel good because we've given Essendon our first rounder for this year, which is now still it's going to be a pick 5. But as you say, that's
pick
probably
12,
going to be more
probably
like pick 12,
yeah.
Which we got Xavier Lindsay for, who was pick 11 in a brilliant draft, and he's been fantastic so far. So if I got Xavier Lindsay at pick 5 this year, I'd be blown away by how good that is. So we got the pick anyway.
Yeah.
But it's that thing is in the vacuum of the SEN cycle. Some dead shit in the comment section doesn't understand that. That's
Josh, right. Well, we're smarter than that, bro. This is the thing
we're
you got to understand.
Smart.
We're a superior IQ being.
That's where we leave it. You and me we're smart boys.
That's right. And look, same sort of beard, light complexions. Been bullied my whole life for the way I look, but
doing podcasts.
That's right. They're clearly doing nothing with my life, but here we are, right? And people listening to us speak.
Basketball game in our lives,
Well, it was 5 from 7 from 3, which isn't too bad.
It's a very good game.
And I should have got the 3 votes for that game, but hey, let's not bring up my past trauma. Let's do a prediction for this weekend then. How are you feeling about the game? Are you as a Dees fan going into it thinking you're going to win this? Are you worried about North? What's the feel?
That's what I meant to say before. Is I feel like at the moment, we're still fixable. Whether it's with a different coach or whatever, I feel like we'll figure it out. We could go 5-0 for the next 2, but I'm expecting a win. But that's not to say we will win. Is that fair to say? I'm expecting a win, but I don't think we will win.
I think that's a fair enough assessment. I'm sort of going into this saying, if we play our good brand of football, I think we can win this game. But we shouldn't be favourites yet. We haven't done enough to be favourites in the game.
How many MCG games have you had this year?
2, and we've won both. This is our third and last. So we're looking to go 3 from 3 at the G.
That's
unless we make the
interesting,
grand
yeah.
final.
Oh yeah. Do you play? Because my takeaway from North this year is like you're building a model that's elite at Marvel. Like you're a Marvel team.
Yeah, I would actually slightly disagree with that. I reckon the fast track of Marvel is hard for us to defend. I think the best games we've played is when we make it a bit scrappy. Like we went over to Adelaide Oval and really scrapped it out. Even the Perth games, I almost think the fast, narrow track at Marvel is hard because the transition is what we can't defend. But when games get physical and when it gets contested, I think we win a lot of clearance that way.
That's a good point. That's the Cherry DNA, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so because he's sticking his head over everything. LDU's even though people think LDU hasn't had as good of a year, I would say it's not as flashy, but his contested numbers are through the roof. They're all career bests. Wardlaw hopefully comes back this weekend, but we'll see with the concussion stuff. But I actually think the wide open spaces of the G and a lot of like Optus as well over in Perth, I think they suit us. And I wouldn't have said that before this year as well. I think we've done a complete flip on it because when we played this North ball type thing that we tried to do, which is all out offense, we got caught on the counter so badly. And that was built for Marvel, but it almost killed us. But now we're making it gross. We're making it a bit yuck. And I think that works better for us.
That makes sense to me because, I just think about when you have the ball and how nice you look, but it makes sense that the defense is the...
Because that's the thing we've changed this year. We can actually defend. We've gone from getting 120 against us to like 70 or 80 against us, which is a lot different, which,
Very Clarkson. Yeah,
build that first and then let's sort of go forward. So, look, I guess I'll predict a North win here. I'm going to go 2 goals. But I don't expect us to be favourites, and we shouldn't be favourites because the D's on paper do look a bit better. But I think if we bring it, I do think our best can compete and compete with a lot of teams. So it depends on injuries because we did get we've been pretty healthy all year and we finally got absolutely decimated the last couple of weeks. And we're not a team with, Larky hurt his knee in that game. I think he'll play. And there was also Parker was out, Darling was out, McDonough was out, Wardlaw was out, Zach Fisher was out. Then Sherry went down with something in that game. Larky went down and there was one more. LDU got concussed, so he's not playing. And then Comben and Archer both were out from 2 weeks before.
Oh my God.
So there's a lot for us, and they're all best 23 players for me. Maybe Zach Fisher's on the line, but hey, it is what it is. I think we get a few of them back though. So it depends on the ins and outs. If we get it, like Parker will come back, I'll be shocked. I don't think Darling plays, but I don't know if that's a game changer. I think Wardlaw can come back. So look, depending on the ins and outs, I think it could swing either way. But if we get a few of these crucial ones back in, your Combins, your Parkers, Archer is someone who's important to us.
Love Archer.
I think we can do it, but if we don't have him back, maybe not. You know what I mean? Maybe not, but we'll see.
I think we should all just enjoy a nice day at the footy on a Sunday before the season's over, man. Can you believe it's like we're on the sun's setting, you know what I mean?
I know. Well, look, it's as far as I'm concerned, football doesn't go past August anyway, so this is a very normal type of year for me. I know exactly where I'm at. I've seen this all before.
It goes away in August, but then it comes back as the Roos power towards the finals in the W. It just goes away for a brief period, then comes back. Yeah, we go from watching the AFL-M to the AFL, which is very, very exciting. Oh, yeah, it's nicely done.
All right, we'll go a couple more questions here, and then we can finish it up. So, who is your favourite player, or who's the deepest player you can think of who played for both North and Melbourne?
Oh, Geordie Gisberts.
Oh, I've never even heard that name.
I'm pretty sure he played for you guys. So you talked about a guy before who was a rising star. So Gisberts was a high pick for Melbourne in the Dean Bailey era.
Yeah.
Came in and tagged Gary Ablett Jr. for Geelong and dominated. First game, looked like he was going to be an absolute star. Never sighted again, and then went and played at North for a little bit and was never sighted. So I'd say Geordie Gisberts.
Wow. I've got a couple of names here for you, so just let me know your memories of these guys, okay? So Cam Pedersen.
Oh, I miss him every day. Superstar of North and then a superstar of the not so much a superstar in North, but then when he got to us was the guy we needed.
He was good. He was all right for us. I actually didn't see him much at the D's, but he was pretty good for us. Charlie Comben tells a good story when we did one of the live shows with him of he was also a forklift driver at Bunnings, doing night shift as well. And then he'd come into the North meetings completely tired because he'd been at Bunnings until like 3 a.m. driving the forklift. So that's the best thing I've ever heard. Dom Tyson as well.
Yeah, Dommy Tyson, poor old Dommy Tyson from the Giants as well. He was good. Like we traded the Josh Kelly pick for him and Christian Salem in 2013.
Has Christian Salem been around that long?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. The Bond year, I think it must have been.
Wow.
That draft, I think. So he was in those early years. That's that thing of when we had no talent. We got in this guy who was okay, and that was like the best thing ever. Always serviceable. I think he's an assistant coach at North at the W.
Oh, you might be right, actually. I can't confirm or deny though, but I think you might be right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the only other two names, and I do this off the top of my head. I think for everyone listening,
I like it.
It's more fun off the top of my head because I got roasted last week for forgetting Sean Higgins when I named Jade Rawlings and Sam Power before I named Sean Higgins from the Dogs and North. So it's more fun this way. But put down below in the comments on YouTube if I've missed anybody, please. And all the old school guys always tell me this bloke from the 60s that I've never heard of.
The one player who I would have loved to have seen, he did come over but never got into the first, was Majak Dor. I would have loved to have seen him get a couple of games. But then number one is easily Big Ben Brown.
It's Big Ben Brown. Yeah, well, Byron Pickett was your friend as well, mate. So, we
didn't get the best of him at the D's. We just got the last few years, and he was awesome. But we got him via Port after, and
because he played in the Port Premiership as well, I think in 04. So wow, the guy wins flags. Look, that's all I could really think of off the top of my head. So
I'm sure there's more.
There's got to be more. There's got to be more. My knowledge sort of goes maybe the 90s, but I was alive, but didn't really see it. But
Alistair Clarkson played for both.
Oh, he did too. I forgot he played for the D's. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're really diving deep. I'm excited. I'm excited for someone to tell me when I go and look at these YouTube comments and someone goes, how did you miss this guy that probably won a bloody Coleman for both teams I've never heard of? So,
and behind the scenes, like Todd Viney is your general manager now and ran the place when we won the flag. No, he didn't.
And Jen Watt for us as well. She was at the D's, I think.
Yes, she was forever. And not a CEO, I think, in lots of different roles. Yeah.
Wow. Well, look, I didn't know I'd be pulling that one out of the hat. I completely forgotten to write it. Yeah, that's the biggest name between North and Melbourne. All right, and my last question for you, for any Donna fans listening, and I'm a Donna fan myself, I've got a few of my favourite characters, and I want you to tell me what position they would play if they were playing in the AFL. That. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Chuffed dad.
Good serviceable full forward.
Dunstall style, only in the goal square.
Yeah, I think so. And shit.
Yeah, absolutely. South African Sams.
Off the wing, these like blonde.
I thought the wing too. When I was thinking about this question earlier today at the gym, I was like, they're wingers because they're cocky.
Gliding.
And they think they own the joint. That's what wingers are.
Blonde and gliding around on the wing, not get no tackles or anything.
That's right. And any excuse to get the shirt ripped off, they will.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to a different one. Not that you've done. A Silly Boy. I want to know where Silly Boy would play. I've got an idea, but I want to see if you match it.
Like a tagger.
yeah, that's a good one, actually. I was thinking forward pocket. Just that Jacob Constanti, like rat, can't kick a goal, but tackles everything.
Yeah, just the most off-putting. He'd be an awful tagger. Yeah. Like it'd be upset people. It'd be good.
A bit of Hayden Ballantyne-esque sort of stuff. Crowley.
Yeah, Crowley-esque, yeah.
All right. Two more. Belly Malt.
Belly Malt. There's a period where he could have played for both Melbourne and North. Belly Malt. Which one is Belly Malt? Because there's Malt Man.
So Belly Malt was Zach's, I think.
There's Zach. Belly Malt. Oh, like I think a small forward.
Okay.
Like this fuck energy.
Okay. All right. And the last one, of course, my favourite, Cowdoy.
Cowdoy. I think this is someone's knitted this the other day.
Oh, that's awesome. That's elite.
Cowdoy would be, I think, Coach.
That could a Dennis Pagan-esque rev up before the game.
Inspiring coach. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I had
Bacon wasn't far off with that rev up, to be honest.
I could see when we were at the ground, like he had to get the spit off his lower lip a little tight because he was absolutely ripping into the boys, which is mate. But I was getting goosebumps the whole time by that. That was a fantastic thing.
I thought they did such a good job of that. I really did.
Yeah, no, it was good. Look, I had big dopey ruckman for Cowdoy for me.
I like that too. That's good.
Yeah, a little bit of like Peter Street about him, if that's a name that the streets do remember.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Unreal. Well, look, that's all I've got for you, mate. Thank you for jumping on and giving me your time. A good chat. We've covered the big topics in football today.
My love to all the North people. Good work sticking in there. It's going to turn, mate. It's going to turn. I know this year a lot. I felt a lot more North larvae, being hatched. I felt a lot of people have gone dormant, just starting to wake up from hibernation. So it's exciting to see.
There you go. And there's someone like me who's been a gross caterpillar forever. And hopefully I'm 107 years old. I'm still hoping I get my wings.
It's coming. It's coming.
Unbelievable. Well, look, we'll see you down in Bay 29 for the Toby Pink Day as well, mate. I'm holding you to that.
Can't wait. Please remind me.
Oh, I will. Thank you, mate. You're a legend.
Thanks, legends.
Thank you to Broden for coming on. Can't believe I got him on, to be honest. What an awesome dude. Could have chatted sports for hours. So biggest guest I've had on the pod. Let's see if we can top that, but probably not, to be honest. Thank you, Broden, for your time. That was really, really cool and a cool experience for me. Being a Donna fan and a fan of what he does. Super down-to-earth guy. Loved it. Big Tassie fan. And you can see him in the Bay if we do a Toby Pink tribute day. We'll see if we can get that working. That was a little bit longer than we normally go as well. That's why I'm putting this podcast out a little bit earlier. I'm not going to do a live team reaction just because I want to give everyone enough time to listen to it. This podcast is going to be over an hour, which we always try and keep the preview pods a little bit under. So I'm putting this out on Tuesday night or Wednesday morning whenever you get this, just so everyone has enough time to listen through this. Live team reaction will be a story on Instagram or on TikTok or a reel, or something like that. So I'll do it on social media instead this week. But I'm going to tell you what I think the changes should be. We're going to go through our injury list and a little bit of news, and then we're going to tip and get out of here because I'm trying to keep it short. So we have a lot of injuries. We have a game against the Demons that we can win. I think we can genuinely win this one. Let's go through our injury list really, really quickly. I've got it in front of me, so apologies for looking down. But Charlie Comben is a test with his shoulder. Jack Jarling is a test with his groin. Larkey is a test with his knee. McDonald is a test with his shoulder. Parker, test ribs. LDU concussion 1 week. Wardlaw concussion 1 week. Core 2 to 3 weeks on the calf. Jackson Archer season ending on his ankle/fibula, which is not good at all. ACL for Bergman and back for Tucker with 2 season enders. You can add Sherry to that list potentially. I'm surprised he's not on the injury list, but Clarkson did point out that he got a check with the doc and he was okay and he could have apparently gone on the ground. It was really weird, especially looking back at it, because he sort of gets his head bumped a little bit. It's not nothing too severe, and then bang, hits the deck like there's a sniper in the crowd. So looks concerning, but apparently not. So I think we back Clarko in there. Who do we bring in? Who do we not? I thought McDonald was going to be 2-3 weeks, but apparently he's a test. So I'm going to assume everyone with a test is potentially up for selection. The injuries are getting in the better of us, though. It sucks we don't have LDU or Wardlaw probably this week. I thought Wardlaw would maybe come back, but maybe 1 more week for him, even though it's a 10-day turnaround. So that's going to be 2 weeks. But hopefully he comes back and can pick up his form a little bit, to be honest. Who do I think should play? Who do I think should be dropped? Let's go through this. So out for me, this is my ins and outs, and we can discuss them in a little bit. Out goes Dersma, Logue, and Phillips. Let's talk about those. Dersma feels like he's at a bit of a crossroads with North Melbourne. We've been talking for the last month or so saying he's not looking like getting in the ones. He kicked a couple of bags of 3 in the VFL. But then all these reports start coming straight out about he doesn't want to be there. We don't want him there. And it does kind of feel like that. We've been talking on this podcast all year about him getting thrown around in the twos. And, sometimes that can be a good thing. Sometimes that can be a bad thing. But I think in Dersma's case, he's so talented. He should be in the twos and absolutely nailing down a spot. He should have nailed down a spot in the ones, to be honest. I mean, I understand there's position headaches, but if you're talented enough, you can definitely make it work. He's talented. I'm not questioning his talent, but it does feel like he's at a bit of a crossroads, and I'm starting to think he's maybe not going to be the player that we thought, maybe at North Melbourne, if not anything. Now, I'm not trying to get off the Dersma train, but the season's nearly done. It's round 18. And he has only played a very small handful of games and hadn't had any moments really, except for the goal against the Bombers late. I can't really think of a Dersma moment. We haven't seen the high-flying Dersma. We haven't seen him doing anything with his skills this year. So I'm a bit concerned. Logue, you could argue for Pink or Logue, but I think Pink's got a bigger body of work behind him this season. I think he's been good enough. I'm going to give him a chance to bounce back after a couple of weeks down from Pink after we all jumped on the Pink Pony Club. Apologies, Toby, if that's put a lot of pressure on you. Please go out and do what you were doing because you were so crucial to what we do. So I'm going to drop Logue. I just don't like what he brings, to be honest. I don't. He's not performing well enough. Maybe harsh because Pink got a lot kicked on him too, but Logue was part of that, mainly because I'm going to bring in a player in the defense. So one of them has to go, and it's going to be Logue because Pink has a body of work. And Phillips is Will Phillips. Will Phillips will come in, get 13 to 15 touches, lay some tackles, and just tick things along. And I think with better players potentially coming back in, that is the way we have to go. It's time to move on from Will Phillips for me. I think sometimes we really get upset that he hasn't got the chance, mainly because he's the next guy up and his VFL form is good. And then we get upset and then he comes back in and does the same things that he normally does in the AFL. So, I think it's time maybe we can move on from Will Phillips just a little bit. I like the guy. I love that he loves the place, and I got nothing against him. I just think it just feels time to maybe move on from Will Phillips. So in for me, Parker, Comben, and McDonald. Now, I'm hoping Larky is fit. I'm assuming he'll be fit on a 10-day turnaround for just a knee knock. Clarkson said he could have come back on and didn't want to risk it. And Sherry as well, he's not even on the injury list. So I'm assuming he's going to be available for selection. If for any reason Big X is out, CCJ's the guy right now. Taylor Goad's not ready. And we don't really, I love Brent Teakle. I want to see Brent Teakle playing, but like Joel pointed out in the last podcast, he's probably gone. If he hasn't played all season to this point, I don't think my guy Brent Teakle is coming in, unfortunately. So CCJ gets the shot, I guess. But I think X will play. I do think X will play. Parker in, self-explanatory. Comben in, self-explanatory. McDonald in, self-explanatory. They don't need to be talked about. I guess, Comben for Logue is an obvious one. McDonald for Dersma. I just don't think Dersma, I don't know where he fits in this team right now, and we need to bolster our medium sort of defenders because the D's have more dangerous small to mid-sized defenders than they do talls. I'm not worried about the D's talls at all. Watch Daniel Turner or something kick 10. But it's your Cozzy Pickett's and it's your smaller guys down there that I do worry about a little bit more. So hopefully McDonald can come in for that. And Comben, Charlie Comben, if he's fit, he plays. He's been really, really good. That being said, Pink, Comben, and Will Dawson will be an interesting one. I think what you could do is potentially switch Dawson forward if need be. He went forward late in the game, even though I want him in the defense. He's absolutely a defender. I just think that's a lot of tolls going in against the D's, who, looking at their forward line last week, Van Ruin, and that's really the only one up there. Matthew Jefferson played, but I'm not too. I hope Matthew Jefferson isn't going to be the player to tear us apart. So, look, I worry about those amount of tolls. Logue fits tactically with that because he should be able to play smaller, but he just doesn't. Look, if Toby Pink got dropped, I wouldn't like it because he deserves to play and he's been really, really good this season. I want to give him every opportunity to come back in this team. But maybe structurally I understand because him and Logue both didn't perform fantastically, letting Norton kick as many as he did last week. But Logue could potentially play on like a Melksham or something like that down in the forward line, whoever they put down there, where Pink is really just a tall defender. So I can understand it, but it's probably not the way I'd go just on fairness and body of work from Toby. That being said, if we do, imagine going into a game where there's Will Dawson and Toby Pink are our two defenders. You'd traditionally be really scared, but they have been really, really good. So I want to see Dawson back there again. I guess give him the job on Van Ruin. And then it gets hairy. Maybe Chom the interceptor. I guess it's hard for Pink, isn't it? I think it depends if Chom's fit. It's too many talls. Maybe then, if Chom is fit, I'd maybe swap for Pink. And that feels so bad because I love Toby Pink and I want him to play. But we can't get run all over like we did the Hawks. And I'd say maybe Pink comes straight back in when there's a bigger player to defend. Does that make sense? I'm sorry, Toby. I'm just looking at matchups. Because look at the Hawks forward line. They ran all over us with basically one key forward down there. And other than that, I don't class Gunston as a key forward at all. So those guys tore us apart. So, hey, that would be what I would do. Let me know what you would do and what you think about all the injuries and who's going to play in this game. Do you think Parker's back? All those sort of guys. Fisher wasn't even on the injury list. Now I'm thinking about it. Let me just double check. Where is Zach Fisher? Because he got injured and he is not on the injury list. Interesting. Anyway, that's the current injury list on the North Melbourne website too. So we'll see. But that is what I would do for this game. And I think it's winnable. If the D's turn up and they played all right against Adelaide, went down by 3 goals, I think. So, yeah, we should be able to get it done. And what we did to them previously, I hope we can get it done. Our bodies are looking tired. We're getting a bit sore. I'm a little bit nervous. But, hey, we'll see. The only real news that we haven't touched on is Emma Carney. She stood down as captain of our AFLW side. So, that is, I wonder who's going to be captain. Jazz Garner sort of feels like the leader up there. I guess I'd probably pick Jazzy Garner. She's the star. Ash Riddell feels like she could captain as well. Let me know what you guys think down below. Who should captain our AFLW team? There's other players I love, but maybe they're young. I mean, I could see Tess Craven being a captain of this club one day, but she's very young. Who else is there? I mean, I love Vicky Wall, but I don't know if Vicky Wall is the captain. So, yeah, I mean, Riddell or Garner, I mean, it makes sense being Jazzy Garner, doesn't it? So if you guys have another option down there, Libby Birch maybe potentially. I like a defender as a captain. I think that's good. Let me know what you guys think down below. But thank you for your service, Emma. And, I mean, she coaches with North as well and is still going to be playing, which is fantastic. Maybe the last year for her playing. She's 35 now, I believe. So we'll see. We will see. All right, let's tip this round. There's not really much more going on to discuss, and I want to keep this podcast as short as possible. Thanks, Broden, for bloody talking all the time. Let's tip the round. Carlton, Brisbane, we'll buy a lot. Gold Coast, Collingwood. This one might be a closer one, but the Pies will get it done. I mean, the Pies just don't lose, do they, at the moment? So might be scrappy up there. If it was away, the Pies would smash them. Give me the Pies. Dogs, Crows, great game. I got to go the Dogs because it's at Marvel. But that's a good game of football, isn't it? The Saturday 120, pulling out prime time stuff. Imagine putting Gold Coast Collingwood on Friday night other than that game. GWS and Geelong could potentially be a good game as well. But you've got to go the Cats. They're in hot form at the moment. Not as high on the ladder as I feel. They're only one game ahead of the Giants, but I just think the Cats. I think the Cats are got to start to turn it on now and get some ladder position because I would like a Geelong-Collingwood grand final right now. I think they're the best two teams. Geelong when they're on, but Geelong have a stinker in them too. Richmond, Essendon, who cares about this slop fest? I kind of, if I tip Richmond, is that crazy? And I don't want Richmond to win at all because I don't want them to catch us on the ladder. But I want Essendon to lose as well. So this is a big conflict. I might go Richmond. That's not a bad game, though. That's Saturday night, too. Prime time. Freo Hawthorn. Freo, so overrated. Such an overrated team. Not even in the finals right now. They're equal sixth on percentage, I guess, but I just don't rate them away from home at all. I know they're playing at home in this one, but the Hawks, they look like they're getting back to form. Melbourne, North Melbourne. Interesting one in this one. You already know my tip, but if we win, we will go ahead of the D's on the ladder, and we'll go ahead of the Saints if they lose, and the Saints are playing Sydney. So we could jump up to 14th on the ladder, and I know that's sad, but that's a position this club has not been in for so long. And if we're sitting 14th, that is such a mega season for us. That's out of the bottom four. So good. So good. Imagine if we're on the ladder, we're above St Kilda and Melbourne, jump up to 14th for the first time in years. If you think that's sad, I think your expectations are very unrealistic, but fantastic stuff. Our percentage is a lot behind those guys, but I guess the draw with Brisbane makes it a possibility on points. We're 8 and 9% behind those teams. So a couple of smashings in the last couple of weeks didn't help that, but hey, here we are. So that being said, Sydney will beat St Kilda at Marvel, but Sydney will win, and Port will beat West Coast. West Coast, I don't see them winning a game for the rest of the year, to be honest. Good luck. Funnily enough, Richmond's percentage. Oh, but here's the thing with the Richmond game. Richmond suck, and they avoid a lot of criticism with how bad they've been because they beat Carlton and the Gold Coast early on in the season. Since then, they have been gross. Their percentage is lower than West Coast's by 0.9, but hey, it's lower than West Coast's. So that is really bad. Maybe I'll pick the Bombers then. I feel like a lot of people might pick Richmond here. Essendon probably get it done, don't they? Richmond are stinky, and they've been really, really bad the last few weeks. I think they've been blown out all over the joint the last few weeks. Let me just see here. Let me see if I can filter the Richmond games. Let's have a look here. Team, scroll down, Richmond. All right. No, we're back to round one. Let's have a look here. This is good podcasting. All right, let's have a look. They've lost by 72 to Geelong, then 68, 79, 44, only 3, 23 Essendon won by, and then we beat them by 4. So and 65 by the Hawks was a while ago though. But their last few games have been really, really bad. I mean, 72, 68, and 79 their last 3 games, and 44 by the Swans. Their last month has been atrocious. So yeah, give me the Bombers. I'm changing my tip. I think I'm just trying to predict an upset there. Realistically, the Bombers probably win that. Okay, who have they got for the rest of the year as well? We'll finish this up soon, guys. Then they've got West Coast again. Dear me, West Coast are favourites. Ooh, we're out of the spoon bowl, boys. $1.63 West Coast are favourites the week after the Bombers game. Wow, that's going to be gross. 8:10 on a Saturday. Jeez. Then they play Collingwood. Oh, God. The Suns, the Saints, they play us again, and they got the Cats in the last round. So I probably don't see them winning another game, potentially the West Coast one. Other than that, probably not. So hopefully we finish above them. All right, let's wrap it up there. That's enough. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening all the way through the podcast. If you are listening on YouTube, please subscribe. It helps me a lot. Like the video, comment. That's all free, and that's the best way to help the podcast because, hey, 2 free pods a week, guys. Pretty sweet. And all I ask is a couple of free clicks on your computer or your phone. That would be really, really helpful. 5-star reviews on Apple always help. Spotify as well. Anything like that, and follow on Instagram and Facebook, and you know where all the socials are. I don't have to plug those every single week. There's a lot of good stuff going over there. A few cool memes that we're sharing out with North Memes as well. That is all fantastic content. So thank you for listening, and we'll chat to you post Demons. Go North.